All right, hello, welcome back to the sixth episode of the Triple D's podcast. I'm Devin with my co host David, and today we're going to be doing our entire NBA Finals breakdown between the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. Game one's tomorrow at the time of this recording, and I'm super excited. There's a lot to dig into, a lot of narratives surrounding this matchup, and I'm just super excited to watch game one. A lot of these people saying, "Oh, this is gonna be a bad finals." Nobody cares about these teams. But if you're a real basketball enjoyer, you're definitely gonna like these NBA finals.
Um, one thing that I'm worried about for the Nuggets, and I wonder if we can keep up. If can we keep winning during the minutes that Jokic is out? Even though yes, obviously he's our star, he's our number one guy. He's most likely going to play out of the 48 minutes, going to play 38. But the Nuggets, they've been a little inconsistent when they play without Jokic. But even then, they'll usually have Jamal in there, and they'll still do pretty good. So, I think that both teams are really going to play the best that they can. I mean, it's the finals. You got to leave everything on the line. But, yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? And also, what do you think of the coaching matchup in terms of Eric Spoelstra, a very experienced coach, not his first rodeo in the finals, and this is going to be Michael Malone's first time. What do you think about that?
Well, going off what you first said, I think that that's been the number one talking point for the Nuggets this entire postseason run, which is the Jokic-less minutes. Because as we saw last year, they didn't have Jamal Murray or Michael Porter, and they got eliminated in the first round. And that's the whole story because they don't have a reliable backup big. They literally haven't played DeAndre Jordan, Thomas Bryant, or Zeke Naji a single meaningful minute all postseason. Obviously, the rotations get cut short once the postseason comes around, but I think that's one improvement I love about Michael Malone throughout this run. That's one way because I haven't always been the biggest Michael Malone fan, but that's one way where my perspective of him has changed because normally I don't like his rotations the way he doesn't play guys who are performing well. He just picks favorites. I seem to feel like how it used to be, but this offseason he's cut it short. He's played a 7-8 man rotation with Christian Brown and Uncle Jeff and Bruce Brown being the only guys off the bench, and eventually getting rid of Christian Brown, only 7-guy rotation. And as you said, Jamal Murray's going to be in there when Jokic isn't in. I think that's what Michael Malone's done all postseason. He's exchanged. They play when Jokic is off the court, then Murray is in, and then Murray gets his rest for some time while Jokic is in. Jokic, I think he's going to have to play 42 plus every night. Um, just because it's the finals, last series of the game. Every single star player is going to play at least 40 minutes. But moving on to the coaching matchup, like you said, yeah, Eric Spoelstra more experienced, but they have similar coaching styles. I mean, there's certain, they both have star players on the team, Nikola Jokic and Jimmy Butler, but they don't run their offense completely through them. That's what you see in some teams, such as the Suns with Kevin Durant and Booker. It's just let them go to work. And that's why it didn't work. That's why Monty Williams got fired. But that's what you see with the Nuggets and the Heat. Jokic runs the offense as a point guard because of how amazing his playmaking ability is, along with his shot creating. And Jimmy Butler isn't always the only guy to go off. I mean, we've seen Caleb Martin have good games. We've seen Duncan Robinson have good games. Max Strus, Gabe Vincent. We've seen all those guys have good games. So yeah, I think the coaching matchup. I don't think that. I think if there was a coach that would be most likely to fold under pressure, it would be Michael Malone. But he's been in big moments before. He's been to the conference finals 2 years ago. And now he has this entire postseason run under his belt. I don't think there will be too big of an issue with the coaching matchup. Both teams will probably play 7 to 8 man rotations, but talking about the rotations, one thing I want to hear your opinion on is Tyler Herro. I saw a report that said he's expected to come back game 3, but I mean I'm pretty sure they could activate him for game 1 if they really wanted to, or even game 2, or just But game 3 is when he would return. Just let me know everything because I've heard a lot of talks. I heard Draymond Green talk about it on his podcast. Really interesting point. I just want to hear your thoughts on if he does come back. Does he play? Does he start? Does he come off the bench? Does he play any minutes? Do they even bring him back? What do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too. So I think that people have overhyped it a bit if he does come back in Game 3 because going into Game 3, I think that Denver will be leading 2-0, and Tyler Hero, since he's been out Game 1 in the first round, I think that he would maybe like mess up a little bit of what they already have going
Yeah, they
on.
have some rhythm going with all the undrafted
Yeah,
guys.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like Caleb Martin, Struce, Duncan, like they all have their rhythm. Like that could potentially mess them up. I'm not saying it would, 100%. But like yeah, he was like their second guy, really their second option during the season,
Oh yeah.
and their second scorer. So I think that Miami would give it a shot if he could come back. Um, but yeah, I think that I don't think it would affect Denver as much. I think that they could guard him. I mean, they have so many guys that could guard guys like a Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero. They got Christian Brown, Bruce Brown, Aaron Gordon. They got a lot of guys that they could throw at them.
Yeah, I agree. So what Miami will do, because Eric Spoelstra as an experienced coach, I think he knows what to do in the situation. Let's assume he does come back game 3. I think if the series is either 1-1 or Miami is up 2-0, then they don't bring him back. But I think if Miami is down 0-2, you put him off the bench in the rotation. And if there's any points during the game where there's some down period, because Tyler Hero, he's a pure scorer. He's a spark off the bench. He can give you 20 points when he wants, no matter who's out there guarding him. He's a spark play. That's what he's known to do. That's why he got his big contract. That's who he is. So I think if you're down 0-2 and you're in need of a spark, you bring him back. He can provide that for you. He can play alongside Jimmy. And when you have scoring options such as Jimmy, Tyler Hero, and then if you put in a guy who's been productive and will continue to be productive, such as a Gabe Vincent or a Caleb Martin, alongside, those are 3 scorers that you have to worry about. And Bam Adebayo can also get his buckets. So, I mean, I think that he'll play probably if you bring it back. I mean, except like I said, if they're up 2-0 or even if it's 1-1, probably. I don't think they'll bring him back, but he's 100% to go right now. They're just waiting to see if they want to mess up the rhythm or anything. Because obviously the only reason why a Duncan Robinson is playing this good is because he's getting Tyler Hero's minutes. Duncan Robinson wouldn't have probably played a single meaningful minute this entire run if Tyler Hero doesn't get hurt game 1. So. But if he's in a rhythm, if the other undrafted guys are in a rhythm, I would just let them go, to be honest, as good as Tyler Hero is. But if you need a spark, then I would probably bring him in.
Yeah, I'd agree if they need like something to just try something to get them going if they're down 0-2, maybe even if they're down 1-1. But yeah, something else I wanted to bring up was, what do you think? Who do you think is going to be like their number one just guy in general that's going to be important in this series? Because I think it's going to be Jokic just because of how consistent he's been in these playoffs. He hasn't had a bad game at all. He's been averaging a triple double. So I think he's going to be number one key for the Nuggets, especially to win the series.
Well, I mean, yeah, obvious. Well, that's like an obvious take, what you just said. Me personally, I think you can't have a star player as an X factor. You can't say Jimmy Butler's the X factor. You can't say Nikola Jokic is the X factor. They're gonna do their thing. Nikola Jokic is dropping triple doubles on a nightly basis. You can't say he's the X factor. The guy I think is the X factor in this series is Jamal Murray. He has been doing this all postseason with his insane games. He's an insane spark plug. Probably the best second option for any team throughout this entire postseason run. It'll just come down to him, to be honest. You know, he has his experience. He's been on multiple playoff runs. Coming off the injury, you can't see any signs of that. I think it's all going to come down to him, to be honest. If he can continue to average 32 in a series, if he can continue to have those amazing quarters, if he can continue to produce with the bench lineup out there, I think he's going to be the massive X factor because my guess is they would put a guy like Gabe Vincent on him, or like a Max Strus, maybe even Jimmy Butler on Jamal Murray. Probably their second best defender, I would assume. So I think it all comes down to that. I think Jamal Murray is by far the biggest X factor in this series for both teams.
Yeah, and something else I wanted to bring up too. Um, the Heat aren't very that big of a team. Like, I think that's also something that Denver definitely has over them. The Heat are definitely gonna have to play guys like Kevin Love, Cody Zeller that haven't really played meaningful minutes during these playoffs, and like Denver is very tall just in their starting lineup with guys like MPJ, Aaron Gordon, Jamal's 6'4" as a point guard, and obviously Jokic. So what do you think of like what Miami's gonna have to do in terms of that?
Well, what I'll say for that, I'll start with what I want to bring up, which is the Jokic versus Bam Adebayo matchup. I think Bam Adebayo. I mean, obviously he's been a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, like his whole career, but he has shown nothing to me in this playoffs, defensively or offensively. Yes, he's had his times. Yes, I feel like he's a good shot blocker, and I don't think Jokic is going to average 60 a night on Bam Adebayo, but I think by far as skilled of a guy Nikola Jokic is, I just don't think you can say that Bam Adebayo is going to shut him down. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. Bam Adebayo hasn't shown anything other than his shot blocking ability to me. He's been getting cooked in the paint by guys like Al Horford, Brooke Lopez. He just hasn't been good. This whole run has been Jimmy Butler and undrafted guys. There's a reason why you don't hear the talk about Bam Adebayo. But in terms of the size matchup, yeah, I agree. I mean, MPJ, I think he's also probably a big X factor if he's shooting the ball well, because he's had some games where he hasn't shot well, but overall he's been really good this postseason. But I just think they'll probably put a guy like Max Strus on him, just chase him around, make sure he doesn't get shots off. But like you said, when putting a guy on him in Max Strus, he's way shorter than him. So MPJ is going to get off his high release shots just like Kevin Durant, and he's going to get his buckets. I mean, I don't think you can deny, because if I had to predict, I would say Michael Porter is going to have a really good series. He has advantage, like you said, with the size, and there's nothing really Miami can do about that. I disagree that Miami's going to play like Kevin Love's and Cody Zeller's. Maybe Kevin Love I can see, but Kevin Love can't guard Nikola Jokic. I think they're going to match Bam's minutes with Jokic, or they're going to go small and double team him every time he gets the ball. So I want to hear from you now on the other side. What do you think are the matchups going to be like on defense for the Nuggets when guarding guys on the Miami Heat?
Yeah, so I think that Aaron Gordon's going to be on Jimmy for most of the series, but I think that it would be smart to like mix it up a bit just to give him some more looks to try to confuse him a bit. I would put Jokic is going to be on Bam, obviously. Jamal on Kyle, because Kyle's been very inconsistent, had more bad games, I'd say, than good games. But MPJ on Strus. Strus comes off the bench, I'm pretty sure. So Gabe Vincent starting, so they would probably put him on. Or no, they would put KCP on.
Strus starts, and Kyle Lowry comes off the bench for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I put Jamal on Strus, KCP on Gabe Vincent, and MPJ on Caleb Martin. I would like that. I think that's a matchup that I would be looking out for.
Yeah, I think that the Aaron Gordon Jimmy Butler matchup is very weird. I feel like the Nuggets are in a weird spot. Every single assignment that Aaron Gordon has had throughout this playoffs has been a big guy. Karl-Anthony Towns, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, a bigger guy. Jimmy Butler, he's a 6'6", 6'7" guy who's not strong and drives to the rim. He's fast, he's shifty, he can get shots off easily, so it's a different situation. Can Aaron Gordon step up to the occasion? I don't think he's going to shut down a Jimmy Butler who's in the finals, who wants his first ring. I don't think it's going to happen. But is he going to be able to do just like what he did with Kevin Durant? Sure. He'll be able to slow him down. Just like I mentioned in the past episode, Kevin Durant averaged 30-35 in the series. Was he efficient? Not at all. And I think Aaron Gordon could do the same thing. I feel like that'll maybe also benefit Gordon with the height difference. Him being able to tower over Jimmy Butler so that Jimmy can't get to his soft spot in the mid-range and shoot over Gordon. But yeah, it's pretty weird, but that'll be interesting to watch. I mean, when we do our recaps after every game, then we'll definitely be watching that Aaron Gordon Jimmy Butler matchup for sure.
Yeah, and I think something that's like a little interesting would be in terms of Denver's home court advantage. I feel like Denver has now one of the best places to play at in terms of if you're Denver, because I think that if they turn into one of the most intimidating places to play now, you could include the altitude if you want, but I would put Denver up there with playing in Golden State, in Sacramento. Obviously Sacramento hasn't been that loud a couple of past years, but this year they've earned it. So I think that Denver, when they're going to play on the road, I think that they'll probably lose one game, either game 3 or 4. But, yeah, so I'd consider that too.
Yeah, I think it'll be electric in both arenas. If I had to give I don't know if it'll be that much of a design factor, but if I had to give the up to one crowd, I'd probably give it to Miami just because based off of past experience, like during the LeBron days and all the finals in the Spurs, that those are some of the loudest arenas I can imagine. But obviously, this is the Nuggets' first finals appearance. Every single fan's going to be there. Both stadiums will be loud, but I think the altitude actually does have a really big impact. I saw a quote from Aaron Gordon that when he played in Orlando, he said like he hated playing against the Nuggets in Denver. Like his muscles would ache. Like he'd have to like hit the bath for like 2 days 2 days after the game, and it takes like a week or two to get adjusted to. The Miami Heat, and we can talk about this next, they're coming off a quick turnaround. They played in a Game 7 in the TD Garden on Monday, and on Thursday they're flying over to 5280 in Denver, and they're going to play against the Nuggets at their home court. So I think it does have an advantage. Is it going to be the deciding factor in the series? No, but I think it's a huge advantage, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree too. Like the Nuggets, like they have to use that as their advantage. They've had 10 plus days to rest. They got the best situation possible in Miami winning in 7 for them having to play as much as they did.
Yep.
So yeah, like obviously today they're in town as of this recording on the 31st. But yeah, I think that has to at least help them a decent amount. And like you said, not the deciding factor though.
Yeah, for sure. But one thing I want to get into about the Miami Heat is, as a Nuggets fan, I am scared of Jimmy Butler, man. I would not be surprised if he averages 40 this series, and I'm seriously saying that. I am scared of that man. He wasn't playing that well in like the last 3-4 games of the Boston series when they were up 3-0. But that man is scary, dude. I mean, there's also a universe in which Aaron Gordon can't do anything on Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler can just drive by him. Jimmy Butler has like that weird play style where he doesn't have the height or like the athleticism to like get up the rim and like dunk over people, but he's smart. He pump fakes, he draws fouls, he evades defenders, has shifty layups. That's what he's good at for that. So I'm scared of Jimmy Butler for sure. But talking about the Miami Heat, if you had to pick one guy who would be the X factor for Miami, who do you think it would be?
Man, it would either be Bam or Caleb, just because Caleb, like, you want to see, can he keep up his great shooting in the finals? Or you can make a case for Bam is in the finals, is he finally going to step up? So I would probably ultimately go with Caleb, just because they've been able to win without Bam having to play so well.
Yeah, the obvious answer I think would be Bam Adebayo, because can he rise up to the defensive occasion to guard the best player in the world? That is probably the number one question about the entire series. Can he step up and guard Jokic, and can he give you a solid 15, 20 a night in the finals? That's my obvious X factor answer. But my other X factor, just all the undrafted guys. Can they keep it up? They've been doing it for 3 series. Gabe Vincent has had multiple 20-point. He's had a 30-point game. Duncan Robinson, multiple 20-point games. Caleb Martin, multiple 20-point games. Max Strus, 20-point. I mean, like there's a reason why the Heat are in the finals as an 8 seed. All these guys, you can credit the Tyler Herro injury for some of it. All these guys have stepped up like to an amazing, like I can't even describe it. Like it's awesome to see. Duncan Robinson, like after not playing any minutes in the playoffs last year, not even getting rotational minutes in the regular season, he automatically steps in and he just does what he does, shoots the dang ball. Max Strus, been playing amazing, good shooting. He's had some off games, but he's been good. Gabe Vincent, same thing. Like, can they keep it up, I think, Jamal Murray will probably be a guy on a Gabe Vincent. They'll probably have guys like MPJ chase around Max Strus, chase around Duncan Robinson, KCP. They'll probably have their wings chasing around their shooters and Strus and Duncan Robinson. But probably the main X factor I would think if he does return is Tyler Herro, because I think people disregard that Tyler Herro is a very good basketball player, and he is, if he's coming off the bench, he is really good. Like, because right now their 6th man is Kyle Lowry, who, like you said earlier, has been really inconsistent in these playoffs. So I think if Tyler Herro comes back and can give that spark, give them 20 points off the bench, that's the X factor, and that could ultimately lead to Miami winning the series. So I'll give my takes on like what I think would give Denver the edge and what I think would give Miami the edge. I think what would give Denver the edge is if Jamal Murray keeps it up. if you have Jokic scoring 25 plus point triple doubles a night and Jamal Murray scoring 30 every night, I think the Nuggets take this series, no doubt about it. Even if Jimmy's averaging 40, that's why I said earlier Jamal Murray is the biggest X factor in the series. For the Miami Heat, it's Bam Adebayo and all the undrafted guys. Can they keep it up? For both, so basically the same thing for both teams is what I'm saying. Can the guys keep up their play? Because we've seen some crazy play. I don't think anyone expected Jamal to be this good of a player, averaging 30 in a conference finals. Yes, he's the second option, but this much. And nobody expected the Heat to make it out of the first round against the powerhouse Milwaukee Bucks. Yet here they are because of what their role players have done. So can they keep it up? That's the big question. And I think in the first 2 or so games, I think we'll see that and we'll have a good idea of how the series will go.
Yeah, so my edges would be giving Denver the edge. I think that I would say that it's probably their shooting ability because I think Miami also has been great at shooting as well. But like guys like KCP, Bruce Brown, Jamal, even Aaron Gordon at times, like that game 1 against Phoenix where he was like 5 for 5 in the first half. I think that's going to be, I would give them an edge on that. And for Miami, part of it would be their undrafted guys, see if they can step up just one more time in the finals. But I would give it mainly to the fact that like they've been able to come so far with these guys that like this finals would just be like the icing on the cake for them. So I think that also they're undrafted guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the big talk, and obviously the stars. Do I think Jokic is gonna somehow play his worst basketball of his career? No. Do I think Jimmy Butler is gonna play the worst basketball of his career? No. And I don't think anyone's expecting to. It would be a huge surprise if any of them do. And if either of them do, I could see either team sweeping the other team if that happens. But that's not gonna happen. But next, I just want to go game by game. What you think is gonna happen as we go? So I mean, I'll start. The first 2 games are going to be in Denver. Honestly, I expect Denver to come out guns blazing. I want them to take a 20-point lead in the first quarter in game 1. But if there's one game that Miami's going to come out coming off of energy, it's going to be game 1. If there's a game that Miami's going to steal in Denver, I think there's way better chance of them stealing game 1 over game 2 because they're coming in hot off their win against Boston. And Denver, who knows? There's advantages and disadvantages to them having 10 days of rest. I mean, you could say that they have too much rest. They're all well rested. They're going to be casual. They're not going to, But no, this is a team in the NBA Finals. You're not going to see that. But if I had to say, honestly, I might give game 1 to Miami just because I can this isn't even talking analytics or anything. This is just from me watching basketball. I can just see the Jimmy Butler breakout, the Duncan Robinson great shooting game 1. I'm just getting flashbacks of Boston and San Francisco in game 1. The same exact thing happened. Doesn't mean obviously Golden State won the series after losing game 1, while a lot of people were like, oh, Boston's a way better team. I can see the same thing happening just because of that, but I could also see Denver coming out strong. And then in game 2, I think it's either... I don't think Miami's going to take both games in Denver. I highly doubt that'll happen. It'll either be 1-1 or 2-0 Denver going back to Miami because I think Denver will... If Miami kicks their ass in game 1, I think they are going to say, okay, come on, guys. Come on. We can't lose this. We're coming off all this rest. We can't do that. So that's what I say for games 1 and 2.
Yeah, so I think every game played in the series will be a high-scoring game, even though both teams have pretty good defenses. But I think game 1 will be the lowest-scoring game, but Denver comes out on top. Just because even though Denver, yes, they've had a lot of time off that could hurt them, and this might not be the best example, but because definitely Minnesota's a different team than Miami, but Denver had a lot of time to rest before their first round series, and they came out guns blazing game 1, blew out the Timberwolves. So I don't think they're going to blow out Miami in the first game, but I think that it's going to be a low-scoring game, and Denver is going to win by, like, I'd say 5 or 4. So, and then the second game, I think that it's going to be one of the more high-scoring games. I think that Miami would get really close, and I would give Denver the advantage there just because. But actually, sorry. Going back to game one, I think that even though Miami, yes, they are coming in hot. I think that the altitude plus them playing literally 2 days ago is going to affect them. So I think they're going to be tired in game one, and in game two, they're going to be a little bit more rested and more ready to play. So I think I would give Denver still the advantage in game two.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell just happened, but my fucking mic stand just came off, so I'm just gonna hold this shit the rest of the episode. So yeah, that's nice. But yeah, so I can see either 1-1 or 2-0 for Denver, both ways. And going to game 3 and 4 Miami, it's gonna be rocking. I think if it's 2-0 Denver going to Miami, I think Miami will take game 3. If it's 1-1, I think the Nuggets are just gonna come out and just I don't know, man. It's tough. I would say maybe 2-2 going back to Denver if I had to pick, because like I don't know, man. It's so hard to not to like discredit the Heat and all, like, you know what I mean, man? Like in all these categories, to discredit the Heat. Because nobody said anything of them against the Bucks. Nobody said anything of them against the Celtics. Like, everyone expected them to lose, dude. And they just keep doing it. So it's so hard to talk about it analytically. When you talk about it just from a basketball viewer standpoint, it's just like the Miami Heat are just that team. Like, you know, they're just good. But I guess if you had to give me a prediction, I'll say that we'll go back to Denver 2-2. And Miami will win at least one at their home.
Yeah, so I agree. Like, if it's 1-1 going into Miami, I think Miami would win game 3, but Denver would win game 4 because they would really pick up their stuff there. And then eventually they would probably win. I think Denver overall is going to win in 6. But yeah.
Whoa, save the prediction for the end. Whoa. Yo, edit that out.
Okay. So I agree. If it's 1-1, I think that Denver is going to probably lose game 3 if it's 1-1. Win game 4. But yeah, I think that, like I said, they're all going to be high scoring except for game 1. But yeah, I think that it'll be going back to Denver. Confidently, I could say 3-1.
Okay. Well, you kind of stole my fucking prediction, asshole. But if it is 2-2 going back, I can see a situation where Denver just does exactly what they did to the Lakers and just pounce on them. And I could see them winning the next 2. And that's where I'm going to cut it right there. I hate to do predictions because I feel like I'm always a jinx. Like, I swear every time I predict something. That's why when I go into games, I'm like, I'm not going to say this team's 100% going to win. I'm just going to watch the game because I feel like I always get it wrong. But I'm going to give my prediction. I'm going to say that the Nuggets win the finals in 6. I'm going to say that it's 2-2 after 4 games. And I think that the Denver Nuggets are going to win their first NBA championship in Miami. I think they're going to just come out and be the Denver Nuggets. We've seen this so many times where nobody expects them to be this high-scoring, explosive offense, but they are because Jokic, nobody can guard him. He's making every single shot. Jamal Murray is having his explosive quarters. I could so see that happening again. And so that's why my prediction, I'm going to take Denver to win the last 2 games of the series and raise the Larry O'Brien trophy in Miami.
Yeah, so originally before we started recording, I thought it would be Denver in 5, but Miami is just way too good of a team to go out in 5, I believe. So they would win in 6, in my opinion. And yeah, like Denver in Game 6, I think it would be sort of a blowout. Call me crazy, but I mean they blew out the Celtics in their own home. So, and also a little nugget for you. The Broncos won their first championship in Miami. Colorado Avalanche won their first championship in Miami. So it's destiny, all right.
It's
So
all
don't call
coming
you can't call
together.
me crazy.
It's all coming
It's all
together.
it's all destiny. And the Rockies, we can just ignore.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Screw the
it's
Rockies.
destiny. Denver in 6, but all credit to Miami. They're a great team. I don't think anybody should and is overlooking them because
Yeah, I'm
I
happy
mean,
about that.
yeah, going from play into finals is something very amazing.
Yeah, and on the contrary, one other thing before we wrap up, I want to say is that I don't think the series. I don't think the series is gonna go to 7. I don't think it'll. I don't think there'll be a game 7 in Denver no matter what. I think if the Heat win, they're gonna win in 6 as well. I think they're good. I think both the teams they've shown that ability to just pounce on teams. They did it to the Bucks. They took a 2-1 lead and they never looked back. They beat them in 5. They did it to the Celtics. They pounced to a 3-0 lead. But the Nuggets did it too. They swept the Lakers. Like nobody expected that. They swept a team with LeBron and Anthony Davis who can easily take a game from any team in the league. So, I think if the Heat were to win the championship, I think it would be in 6 in the same exact situation. I think it would be 2-2. Miami would stun everyone and win Game 5 in Denver and then go home with the momentum and take it. So, that's what I would say. I think the series is going to end in 6. I don't think the Heat would win in 4 or 5, but the way I could see the Nuggets in 4 or 5 is they just have a complete. If Miami just has a complete breakdown, they show their stamina, how tired they are coming off a 7-game series. Like nobody's really shooting well. Like you can tell that the energy is bad. They get deflated by the crowd. All that. That's the scenario I can see where the Nuggets win in 5. Probably. I highly doubt it'll be a sweep, but so yeah, that's just what I want to say.
And yeah, for Miami, if they were to win, I would say in 7 because like even though they did get really unlucky in the last series against Boston, with that game winning buzzer beater with zero point 0.2 seconds left by Derek White. I think that they're not the well. I mean, they did beat the Bucks in 5 and then the Knicks in 6. But I think that they would have to win in 7 to beat the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all. If you got anything else.
No, I think. So I'll bring this up. Why not? Something that I found really interesting is that I didn't know this. That Calvin Booth, like a couple of days before the trade deadline, I'm pretty sure he guaranteed. Like he had dinner with Monte Morris, former Denver Nugget, now a Washington Wizard. He guaranteed him that he would not trade him. And then a couple of days later, obviously we know that Denver traded Monte and Will Barton for KCP, which was very interesting. I did not know that. I'm surprised that Monte even still has like a lot of good and kind things to say about Denver because he was very happy for Denver once they swept the Lakers. So, yeah, that was very interesting to me.
Yeah, that's one thing I also. Good thing you brought that up. Shout out Monte Morris. Shout out Paul Millsap. Shout out Gary M.F. Harris. Like all those guys, they built the foundation for all of this. The Nuggets had a lot of draft misses, but they had a lot of draft hits, including Jamal Murray, Michael Porter, and Nikola Jokic, which is the foundation of the championship team. And one other thing I also wanted to bring up real quick. Going back to like what I talk about in like the media is obsessed with the Lakers and all that. The whole talk when the conference finals started was, oh, this is the exact same conference finals as the bubble. That means the bubble was real. So I feel like the Heat made the finals. They did the same thing in the bubble. Nobody has said a single word about the bubble being real now because of the Heat making it. But I guarantee you if the Lakers made it, oh, their bubble chip is real. Yeah, no, 100%. That ring is real, 100%. But nobody has mentioned that the Heat made it back with really similar rosters. So I just want to hear your thoughts on, like, do you think that's true? Like, why do you think nobody's bringing up the bubble?
I mean, they're definitely not bringing it up because LeBron didn't make it. And like that team, literally the Lakers were so much more different back in the bubble. Like they had KCP, they had
Danny Green, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Rajon Rondo. Exactly.
Yeah, it was crazy. So, but yeah, I think that they're not bringing up Miami also because even though it's weird because Miami, they don't get as much credit. I think it's mainly just because they were an 8th seed, even though they are a big market team. They were just very low, so I think that's why they don't get as much respect, maybe.
Yeah. All right, so if you don't have anything else to say, let me know. If you don't, then that'll wrap up the 6th episode of the Triple D's podcast. We're super excited for the NBA Finals. Go Nuggets. We'll be cheering for the Nugs as hard as it is for me specifically to root against Miami and Jimmy Butler. I'll be rooting for the Nuggets. We're going to try to give you guys game recaps after every single game of this series, break down the game, our thoughts on everything and all that. So I want to thank you all for watching again, and we'll see you in the next episode.